It's Sunday.
Sunday!
But it's Monday when this comes out. Sight and Sound Weekly.
Wednesday! SK Plus.
Monday, Friday, happy days.
Yeah, Monday, Friday, happy days. Yeah.
More on that later.
What? More on that later.
Happy days, Ron Howard.
Oh, yeah. Very clever.
Come on.
Can we talk about what just happened to me?
You had to poop.
Well, yeah, that's the story of my life. But a couple of things. You warned me, hey, by the way, if you go take a poop, we don't have any toilet paper.
That's right. We haven't had toilet paper for like 3 days.
And if
Maybe 4.
that, okay, Phew, this is getting worse just by the second. I was about to give you a hard time because I thought maybe you discovered this morning that you were out of TP.
Nope.
You live a street down from Kroger.
Yep.
And you probably, have you gone to Kroger to like pick up LaCroix or anything?
Nope.
Pick up a salad?
Nope.
Because I feel like you go to Kroger every day.
I go to Kroger a lot, but I haven't been since, in the last 4
Kroger
days,
is our,
which is why we don't have toilet paper right now.
Kroger is our local grocer, by the way, because I know that there are a million types of grocery stores.
But Ryan, we live in Kentucky, so we have to buy our groceries from some guy named Jethro at like a shack. That's probably what Ralph Lenardic thinks, because we're rednecks. So real quick, the town that I live in, it's a pretty small town. We are about to get our 3rd grocery store. Did you know this?
No.
Is that not ridiculous?
Yeah.
The Kroger that we have in our town is actually the biggest one in the state, which is even more bizarre that we need to have 3 grocery stores.
My town has 2 Krogers.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I know it has a Walmart.
And 2 Kroger. A Walmart, 2 Krogers.
Yeah, you live in a bigger place than I do.
Save-A-Lot. I think that's it. There's probably like some market somewhere.
Also 3 high schools. I have 1 high school, if that's context for anyone.
Yeah, it's a good point. So, but anyway, so not only did I have to use toilet paper, when I washed my hands, because of course I got to wash my hands.
Yeah.
After I washed my hands, I noticed that you did have, in fact, a hand towel.
Yeah.
And in the I don't know however long I've been coming over to your house, I've never experienced your bathroom with a hand towel. So it was like you made up for the TP by having a hand towel, and it kind of made it all better.
Yeah.
So,
It's the hand towel. It's sort of my girlfriend's responsibility to switch out the hand towel. I don't know why.
she doesn't do it.
I never.
Because I always have to. I hesitate to wipe my hand because sometimes on the back of the door there's like a rope hanging up. So I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I wipe my hand on the rope.
I don't blame you.
but other times I just shake it off, or I wipe it on my shorts. So if you've ever seen me come out of the bathroom with just like handprints on my back, it's because that's how I dried my hands. Or a spirit attacked
You could have also used the paper towels that are in there for pooping to dry your hands as well.
Oh, well, this time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as washing the hands, I was super lucky today.
Right.
But wiping the bum, not so much.
Yeah. There's also, well, I don't know why we're talking about this. There's also those
because it's an amazing conversation.
Man wipes. There's some man wipes in the little thing above as well.
Dude wipes. Are they dude?
Yeah, they're up above.
You might not have known that you have purchased an item that was featured on Shark Tank.
Yeah. The reason I bought those is because when I had a roommate for a while, not a huge fan of those. Like, I mean, they're fine. They do good things for people, but my roommate bought some one time and I was like, I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna try this, and
aren't they
fine.
I don't think it's one of those things that I think no matter how much you say that it's environmentally friendly or can be flushable,
I think
those things are never actually the case.
Yeah, there's always like a twist there. I think it's just that you don't have to use as much paper. So people are like, well, that's environmentally friendly.
Well, no, I mean,
not living on this earth is environmentally friendly. So
I meant what's the word? Compostable, whatever that word is.
Decomposable?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know the word either.
It's supposed to like break down in the sewer system, but they don't actually do that, and actually causes more harm than good, no matter how much they say it's flushable. So anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, I've used them. I bought them once, and that was it. I liked them, but I don't know.
It's good. It's good to know.
Okay.
It's a nice day outside. You took a little stroll yesterday. You were hanging out outside, weren't you?
Uh-huh. For a few hours.
Yeah.
It's in my vlog. It's in our vlog, whatever you want to call it. I put up a vlog. I hung out with my friend Morgan, and we went hunting for Pokemon Go, but it was nice for me because I was walking around downtown where I essentially grew up.
Pokemon Go is definitely dropped off. In fact, I joked about it. We went to dinner one night at Taco Place, you, myself, and Kayla, and I joked about it because I decided that we should take a stroll. I'm big on that. I'm big on taking walks.
You like walks?
After eating dinner. I think it's good for your digestion. Anyways, I joked to her about Pokemon Go, how it was dead, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to start it back up." So she's been playing again as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just think it's kind of funny how that was a huge trend.
Well, they just updated. I think the legendary birds are in it now, and I don't know. Some new things are going on, and he was very much all about it. In fact, as soon as we got out of my car to start walking, we saw like a family across the street.
Also playing?
And Morgan just happened to yell, "Hey, you guys playing Pokemon Go?" They were like, "Yeah." I was like, for one, that nice spot. Like, how in the world did you call that? And two, it was just funny because I had those same preconceived notions that Pokemon Go was dead. And then the second we get down there, there's other people playing it.
When it was in its height, I remember driving around Lexington and going to all the spots, and there was just people everywhere. One night, Kayla and I went really late one night to Triangle Park, downtown Lexington, and dude, I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts down there. I think somebody almost got hit by a car. It was
probably
crazy
because we're stupid.
Yeah, for sure. So let me tell you about something that happened to me this past weekend. So we live in Kentucky. That's established, but downtown, like most downtown areas, it's different than the rest of the vibe, I think, of other places. Like a lot of places in Kentucky are very rural. People probably have preconceived notions about, redneck people, racist people. Those people exist in Kentucky.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. But for the most part, the downtown areas, the metropolitan areas are actually very, there's a big art culture downtown Lexington, a lot of great street art, hipster vibes, all that stuff. Anyways, I was downtown helping my girlfriend out with some stuff, some construction type of stuff, painting some walls. Anyways, more on that in due time as well. But it was like 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock at night, and we hadn't eaten anything. So we were like, let's just walk around. Let's find something to eat. Walk by this place. Never seen it before. Never knew it existed. Go into it, and it's open until 2:30. It is a cocktail bar. It is a tapas and cocktail bar. You know what tapas are?
No.
Tapas are small plates. It's small shareable plates.
Yeah.
And it was a cocktail and tapas bar that's open till 2:30.
A topless bar.
And dude, I mean, I felt like I was in California. I felt like I was in like some San Francisco
Let's go.
high class eatery. Food, not the best. But regardless, I had steamed bao buns. Do you know what those are?
Bowel buns?
Bao, B-A-O, bao buns.
No.
Bao buns. We need to get you a little more culture.
I guarantee you this was the first time you ever had this thing. So don't act like you've been eating this all your life.
Absolutely not. So a bao bun is essentially like I think it's Korean. I could be wrong. It's a sandwich.
That's racist.
It's a sandwich with like it tastes like you're eating raw dough, but it's delicious. And it was filled with lamb.
Oh, really? Tripe.
No, tripe is. Do you know what tripe is?
Lamb intestine?
Yeah, that's right. That's tripe.
So stupid. Nothing illustrates Kentucky better than in this past election. They highlighted all the counties that voted red or blue. Right. And I think Kentucky, it's like something ridiculous. I think we have like more counties than any other state, or at least by mass or something.
I can believe that.
We have like over 120 counties or something crazy. Every single county was red, and then there were 2 blue dots for Lexington in Louisville.
That's right.
That's no exaggeration. Exactly how it was highlighted during this past election. If that gives anybody a sense of what Kentucky might be like.
That's right. It's strange. It's not strange. Like I said, metropolitan areas in most places are typically like that. A lot of, I don't know why that is. I don't want to get into like a weird sociological discussion here.
I don't either.
We just announced on social media that we are dropping our next line of merchandise, our summer line, 2017, Summer 17, that new Drake song.
Yeah. That brand new Drake song, Summer 17. Yeah.
And I'm excited about it. They're going to be up on sitesoundpod.com on July 1st. A new limited t-shirt, summer vibes. We've got shirts, tank tops, all that cool stuff. And look, so yesterday I sat at my house all day from the moment I got up.
We have not talked in like 2 days. We established a new record.
Yeah, well, actually, before I get into talking about the merch and designing it and stuff, because there's a funny story with it, but I didn't do a vlog at all this week. In fact, I started a vlog like 3 or 4 times and just didn't continue on with anything and just deleted it because, man, I've been busy as shit. We're in this weird transition period, I feel like, where our goal is to get the podcast kind of rolling and effortlessly. Like we show up, we record, we put up our stuff, no big deal. But we've got a lot of things kind of cooking right now. A lot of projects sort of cooking on the back burner.
It's overwhelming.
It is a little bit overwhelming, but we're sort of getting through it. But I've just been busy. We did 4 podcasts. We put out 4 podcasts on the feed last week. 5. Well, just all together.
I put out 2. You put out 4.
As a group, we put out 4 podcasts, and we did After Schmo as well.
Oh, yeah, that one.
But anyways... yeah, that's why a vlog from my perspective hasn't come up. Anyway, so I was designing these t-shirts all day yesterday. That was my goal this weekend, get the t-shirt stuff done. And I also designed a t-shirt for my girlfriend as well. And, you know, she's a tattoo artist. She's trying to appeal to, you know, just a sort of vibe. And the vibe that she was going for with this shirt design was like crust punk, black metal, sort of very metal sort of vibe.
Mm.
And the first design that I did for our t-shirt stuff was this one with the chicken. And I'll let you tell that story in a second, I guess. But so I did this shirt and I was like, okay, I'm going to do some more summery shirts, but I couldn't get out of the mindset of that black metal design and vibe. So like the next 2 designs I made were that. And I was like, this isn't summery at all. You know how I got over it?
Yeah, I do.
I put on More Life.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say you were listening to Drake.
That's right. I was listening to More Life. Some of those tropical vibes, Passion Fruit, and One Dance and Controlla. And man, I was just cranking them out. It felt really good. But anyways, people are gonna see this chicken design, probably the least summery design that we have.
I want every single listener to pay absolute attention right here because I'm going to sort of break down the fourth wall a little bit and let you in on some things that have been confusing you all. I'm going to let you guys in. I'm going to let you guys in on at least 2 inside jokes that we have here that we've established based on this merch release that we have coming up. So if you look at our Instagram, if you're not following us on Instagram, please do at SightSoundPod. We've been killing it on Instagram, if I could be honest. But so we have one shirt that says, well, no, I don't think we're putting it up yet, but I'm going to take the opportunity to explain this inside joke anyway. Let's talk about flourishing.
There's a shirt for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flourishing, just to give you some background, myself and my friend, David Goodman, who has never been on this podcast. None of you have any reason to know who he is.
I don't like him.
He once told me a story about some other guy about how he was flourishing, and I'm not even going to go into that. But Goodman and I have this inside joke where that's how we say flourishing. And Jay doesn't even
flourishing.
Yeah, that's how we say flourishing. And Jay didn't even know that side of it. But I brought it here, and then we just kind of started saying it on the podcast. And we have been cracking up / been irritated with the fact that everyone is trying to correct us, even though we are clearly saying this thing wrong.
Well, it's funny because we've talked about it before that in order to sort of get the whole scope of all of our jokes and humor, you kind of got to follow us, not just here on Sight and Sound, but After Schmo, Let's Talk Legion as well, anything that we're involved in, because we crossed over flourishing in some of our jokes to After Schmo. And I think the first person that pointed us out on it that I guess didn't jump in on the ground level was Brando, our friend Brando. He was like, "Are you serious? Are you really mispronouncing this word?" And we were like, "Dude." But then
we're clearly saying it wrong. Like, we get it. We know.
We brought it over to After Schmo. And it came up the first time, and I thought it was all good. And there were like regular listeners.
Yeah.
I mean, regular listeners who just jumped up on it this week. And I was like, why is this still a thing? I mean, it was like a whole thread of people being like, I think they did it on purpose. I'm not quite sure. So, yeah.
It's been kind of funny to watch that. But anyway, so there's that. Very simple story, but now that you all have context. All right, let's talk about this chicken design. So
it's absurd.
One of my favorite videos on YouTube is by Ali G. Some of you might not know who Ali G is. Sacha Baron Cohen, who did Borat, Bruno, done a lot of things.
The Dictator.
His first, let's not talk about The Dictator. That movie's trash. The very first character that he sort of came out with publicly was Ali G. It was on HBO, and basically his shtick is that he is this wankster British ignorant reporter who's interviewing very serious people who aren't in on the joke. So it's very similar to Borat. He's playing someone of ignorance, interviewing and basically holding a mirror up to these smart, intelligent people by making fun of them without them knowing. You get it. He has this video online on YouTube of him going to this veterinarian's farm, and there's a chicken there, and I really need you to watch the video because I can't do it justice.
Maybe we can link to it in the description box.
Yeah, we can do that. I can't do it justice, but I need you to watch the video because I showed Jay this video one night when I came over, and I think we actually ended up watching it a couple times when we had guests because we had to show all these people.
It's one of the go-to videos.
Yes, it is.
That and the dumpster video.
But it builds up to this great moment where this chicken, this fuzzy, furry chicken, just appears, and all of a sudden Ali G screams, "Oh, look at that! Why is he wearing that?" And he asks the veterinarian why the chicken is basically fuzzy, asking him why is he wearing that. And it's one of the most, like, the hardest I've ever laughed at a YouTube video. And so over time, we've referenced that whenever we look at an animal that's wearing something, because I already have I have very easy animal humor, like animals doing anything is funny to me.
Any animal that is just absurd in general, it could just be the size of it.
Yeah,
is funny to me.
Yeah, same. So
it's like God fucked up.
So if basically any time an animal pops up, especially when they're doing something ridiculous, Jay and I will yell, "What is that?" or "Look at that." And we've changed it up a little bit over time, but that's where the chicken shirt comes from, because not only is it a hilarious, serious print of
it's ridiculous.
Of chickens,
it's ridiculous, yeah.
But you have the "What is that?" caption as well, and
it's also in that shirt is 100% inspired by like black metal looking t-shirts with, typically it's some weird I don't know, old English looking torture images of stuff from like Napalm Death videos, or
right.
Yeah, I don't know, but I love it. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, sightsoundpod.com. July 1st, new merchandise. Get them, wear them.
Please go watch that YouTube video. Ali G at the veterinarian.
Yeah. That's the end of our intro. Do we need to take a break?
No.
What do you want to get into first? We've got some big topics this week.
We do.
Massive topics.
Which topic do you think will be the shortest? My vote is TV.
My vote is also TV.
All right, let's talk about Glow. Guys, Glow has premiered on Netflix already, so this is going to be a reactionary/review type conversation. I put up a YouTube video reacting and reviewing to the very first episode. I put that out on Friday. I have since finished the entire series or season. I don't know if there's gonna be another season. Where are you at with the show before we get into it?
I've watched 2 episodes. I watched them last night.
Good. Okay. I think that's a great dose because the premiere is something, but the second episode is something else as far as like the overall scope of what the season is. So sure. I'm glad that you got that out of the way. Guys, if you don't know, Glow is it's based on something that actually happened. The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It came out, I believe, early 90s, 1990. Kevin Marks, don't at me. I'm close enough. And there's an actual documentary that I watched a little bit of last night that talks about how this actually came about. But basically, wrestling was huge at the time, early 90s, and these ladies, these actresses, these struggling actresses, basically responded to a casting call and audition to be in this wrestling league, and they didn't even know what it was. And so this actually happened, and this series is sort of based on that actual event. So it stars Allison Brie of Community fame. Mark Maron is in it. There's this up-and-comer who I'm going to look up because I'm going to need to bring her up in the conversation here in a minute, but I've since forgot her name.
One question I have just off the top, just because I haven't done a ton of research. Obviously, this is the new kid on the block for Netflix. Anytime Netflix drops a show... Well, there's certain shows they drop and they just sort of fall under the radar, but there's some shows that drop that they become part of the pop culture hum, I would say. And this is one of those shows, I think, at least in our circles that we sort of run in, circles that we pay attention to. This has been the topic of conversation. Who's developing this show? I mean, who are the people behind this show?
Genji Cohen, who is probably now primarily most famous for her work on Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
But where I first heard the name Genji Cohen was when Weeds came out. So she's responsible for Weeds, Orange is the New Black, and now Glow. And I am not a fan. I've only seen the first episode of Orange is the New Black, but I wasn't a fan of it. I think I get it. Maybe I'll go back and watch it eventually.
I get it. Yeah.
Glow very much has that vibe, except more for me. So
Orange is, I've never watched anything from Orange is the New Black. Is that a show that sort of walks a fine line of comedy and drama? Is it more of a dramedy?
Yeah. And I think Weeds is like that too. They're all similar in that way.
I don't get much of a dramedy vibe from this show. I get pretty straightforward comedy. Not straightforward, that's not the word I want to use, but
I would still call it a dramedy. I mean, it's laugh out loud funny, but there are very serious things going on.
Is it laugh out loud funny?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have to debate that.
I've seen the whole season.
I'm just telling you. I mean, you have no idea what I think about this show.
Oh, I have zero clue. I pretty much set it up right. Mark Maron, Allison Brie, and it's about Allison Brie is the main character, of course, and she is a struggling actress and stumbles upon this upcoming wrestling league that's going to be a TV show. And Mark Maron plays the director.
How do you feel about Mark Maron?
I like him.
Yeah.
I do like him a lot. I respect
strange casting, not in a bad way, just a little bit unexpected.
I respect the hell out of him, especially with what he's done with podcasting for sure. I can't say that I don't know a whole lot about his comedy.
Right.
I haven't watched Maron on IFC. I haven't seen any of his stand up or anything like that. But as a podcaster and a personality, from what I've seen of him, I enjoy him.
It's an interesting character just because of the fact that you have this whole comedy podcasting scene, this whole comedy podcasting, uprising that's going on. Sort of crossed over. Like, I feel like a lot of people listen to Mark Maron who don't pay attention to that side of things just because, I mean, the level of guests that he's had on his show.
Sure.
Never been the biggest fan of his podcast, not because I think it's bad or anything, just not necessarily for me. I've listened to it a handful of times.
And you also don't like things like Nerdist, which I very much like that, and you haven't really responded to that usually. But
his show is definitely a different taste from what you get from Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan universe. It is very conversational and whatnot, but it's a little bit more structured, I think.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit more of a, standard, straightforward podcast vibe to it. But nonetheless, I actually think he did a great job in the show so far. That from what I've seen, the first 2 episodes, I think he and what's her name,
Allison
Brie, probably the 2 standout main stars of the show. From what I've seen so far. Obviously, look, I didn't know what to expect from this. I didn't know what sort of vibe it was going to be. It is sort of just from the production of it, from how it's packaged, the concept of it. It does seem to be playing in the same sandbox as some of the more highbrow types of comedies, some of the more higher production value of comedies. I would say things like Atlanta. Even some of the stuff that you see on FX, some of the comedies that you see there. But what was it about this show for you that made you fall in love with it so much?
You mean before or after?
I guess what about this show made you want to keep going? Made you want to finish it, binge it?
Because I just think I just really enjoyed it. And I actually disagree. I think there are several standouts. I haven't learned all of their names. Actually, the one standout that I saw, I just had to pull up on IMDb, but I actually think there are several characters that really popped out to me. There's one of the ladies that's on there. I think she's the best. Is it Kate McKinnon, who was in Ghostbusters and on Saturday Night Live? She was very reminiscent of her, and I really enjoyed her. I mean, I really enjoyed a lot of the performances, even though Allison Brie and Mark Maron are the biggest names on the
top
show.
Billing, yeah.
Yeah. They're really the only names on the show, not just the biggest names. They're the only names, brand names. But yeah, I thought that so many people stood out, and I actually liked how so many of the episodes are able to give the ensemble their own moments, which I really enjoyed, and not like they don't do it in like in a Lost way where the entire episode is focused on a different wrestler, but each wrestler kind of comes in and out of the episode, and they're able to have their great moments. So you get a bit of their backstory, you get moments where you're going to cheer them on and things like that. And I really liked how the show handled its characters in that way. With the funniest character to me is easily the producer, Bash. Did you meet him in the second episode?
No. Okay. Maybe. No, I don't think I did. I don't think he was in the second episode.
I don't remember, but they go to his party.
No,
at his
that was
house?
in the second episode.
Okay, he's easily the funniest character in the show. He's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed it, and I liked how, and I said this in my video too. I liked how it was the title sequencing and just the fact that it was based in the 80s. Sort of has that nostalgic vibe to it,
right?
Which,
yeah, that's a whole other part of the conversation. For sure.
The I can't use the word nostalgic because I'm a child of the 90s, but I like that vibe and I like seeing things done that way, and I really respond to it. So that was another reason why I enjoyed it so much. But overall, I was just a huge fan of Allison Brie from Community, and that's what got me into it. And then I just think the show was really, really well done. 2
things. So we're sort of in a renaissance, I think, of comedy on television right now. I think there's a lot of really good stuff going on, and they've sort of found this real, especially on Netflix, I think, and with networks like FX, who they don't even really give a shit about an hour or 30 minutes. I mean, there are shows on television right now that'll go like 38 minutes. It's like,
yeah,
Mr. Robot is guilty of that from time to time, but they've sort of found this really nice niche and this nice beat, a rhythm, so to speak, of the 30-minute episode. I think, and I found myself watching episodes like this and another show that I want to talk about towards the end of the segment on Netflix, where you watch it and there are shows that are 30 minutes and you can feel that it's 30 minutes. Like, you're like, man, I could have used a little bit more time. But there are some episodes where I don't even notice it. I mean, especially with shows like this. Like, when I was watching these first 2 episodes, I couldn't tell if it was 30 minutes or if it was an hour. It didn't matter. It just did the story, each episode, justice. And I think that's great. And I think that's one of the best things about streaming services today. They're sort of exploring run times of things, or they're not necessarily held to that. The other aspect that I'll talk about, and people who listen to my music show already know what I'm probably going to say about this. The 80s are hot right now. Like it's been so hot, but
Yeah.
I am selling my stock on 80s. I am getting rid of it as quickly as I can. This has been a thing for the last 3 to 5 years. It's going on in music, television for sure, and I'm getting a little bit over it. Now that's not a statement on this show. It has no bearing on how I feel about the show. Just in general, I'm getting sick and tired of it. Like, let's move on. Let's go. Let's move forward a little bit. You know how I feel. I don't like to live in the past. And nonetheless, I did enjoy the show. I thought it was fine. I'm so far, it's going to be a show that I will put on when I don't have anything else to watch. But nothing from it was telling me like you've got to keep going with this. I do think it was executed really, really well. I think the acting is good. I think it's shot well, and it is interesting. It's just I'm not looking for a show like this right now, but I think people should watch it for sure. That has no bearing on the quality of it. That's just
it's
me
also
and my
just
taste.
extremely easy to watch.
Yes,
because it actually. I mean, I would agree with someone if they said it could have just been a 2-hour movie, and I'd be fine with that. But regardless, it's just so easy to watch. I mean, I knocked it out in a day. It's 10, 30-minute episodes. I mean, it was super quick, and I really did enjoy my time with it. And I think the only really thing I didn't like, and I won't spoil it, it's probably just like the very last second of the finale, just because it didn't feel like an ending to me. The credits just kind of happened. And I'm not even talking about the last episode. I'm not talking about the last scene. I'm pretty much talking about like the very last shot, really, almost, which was a little jarring. But other than that, I mean, I very much enjoyed my time with it. It was a really fun watch. The other thing that I like so much, and this is why I don't share your sentiment about the 80s, but particularly with this show, there's so much relevant and present commentary. And I think that's something that Genji Cohen is very conscious of, especially in like a show Orange is the New Black. I mean, she is pushing buttons with that show, at least conservative buttons. And they continue to do this again. There's a lot of parallels. The stuff that was going on like in the Reagan era that's still going on today.
Isn't that a little depressing? Like when you see these things that are supposed to be nostalgic, like even, I mean, obviously a show like Mad Men, which focuses so much on stuff like, look how different things were back then. But then you kind of realize it's actually not that different. You know, we're still facing the same issues.
Exactly. So yes, it is depressing. But
I don't want to go too far into that.
I like the fact that they use that to just call stuff out.
It's smart. Yeah, it is very smart. And that's, look, today, because of this renaissance, because we are getting such highbrow and rich value out of our comedies, I mean, I think people really have to come to play with comedies these days. You know, there are shows that are out there that are just dumb fun, and that's fine. There's a place for that. But when we have so much content to actually take in, and really good content, I mean, man, it's an exciting time for television. I mean, we've talked about it over the course of the last few years, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it for a while. But TV right now is great, and I'm so happy and I'm so excited that comedy is now getting this taste as well that we've seen with dramas and sci-fi, sci-fi to a certain extent. But it's good, man. I'm excited. Everybody should at least check out. Dip their toes in the water of Glow for sure.
The standout is Betty Gilpin, and I told you, well, somewhat about her via text.
I knew as soon as I saw her that's who you were referencing.
She is a contender for breakout star on TV you're just saying that because you think she's attractive. No, she does a really great job in the show.
Yeah,
and again, you've only if you saw it, you would know what I'm talking about.
I was trying to get people to get mad and think that you were objectifying her.
I don't care to say she's hot, but she's really good in the show,
right.
And she actually almost stole the show from Alison Brie, who I also find attractive.
It's also kind of her character's sort of what she's going for.
They just give her character so much to do, and they actually give her sometimes they give her more time than they give Allison Brie's character. So she's very much the standout of the show for me. And yeah, she kills it. And I'm putting her up against, I told you that I was putting her up against Rachel Keller, who I fall in love with everybody, but I fell in love
from
with
Legion
on Legion. And Legion was when she broke out for me, but I know a million other people who are watching TV know that she was a breakout in Fargo season 2. That's fine. I give you all the credit, whatever. But Rachel Keller broke out for me in Legion this year, and now she has to go up against Betty Gilpin when we do our crownings at the end of the year for breakout roles and breakout series and stuff. So anyway, she kills it. She's great.
Yeah. I thought her character was good. A much needed character. Whoa, you all right there? A much needed character in the show too, because the first episode, sometimes I get a little weary when everybody's like on their last dime, so to speak. Nobody's really got something to sort of fight for or get pissed off in shows. We're just sort of feeling sorry for everybody. I loved it when she came in and she was sort of this fiery sort of character too. Didn't really expect that. Sort of took a interesting turn. But you guys need to watch the show real quick before we take a break. I do want to point out though, there's another show on Netflix that I think a lot of people might have missed, and this was my glow. This is something that I binged. So there's a show on Netflix called Crashing, not to be confused with HBO's Crashing
with Pete Holmes,
which is not great. Not sorry. This show, 6 episodes, 30 minutes each, watched it in one night. This show is a combination of New Girl and Friends. If both of those shows met each other,
I'm in.
And they were shown on HBO.
On my way.
This show is so fucking funny. It is so smart and hilarious. And it's an ensemble cast of people that you've never heard of before. But it's just a great show. And it's such an easy listen. It's funny.
Easy listen.
Actually, I say people
you
that...
watch it, you listen to the audio book.
Easy watch. Sorry. I say people that you've never heard of, but it does sort of tie in with something that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But it's got the girl from that show that Cody was trying to get us to watch on
Fleabag.
Yeah, Fleabag. What's her name?
I don't know.
I forget her name too. That girl from Fleabag. She's in it. She's the star of it, and she's also, I think, one of the writers and creators. It's a very good show. I enjoyed it. Very funny. It's a British show. It came out in 2016, but now it's getting distribution on Netflix.
I guarantee by the end of the night, you're going to get a text from me being like, just finished Crashing. It was amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm so sold on New Girl Meets Friends on HBO. Oh, my God.
Well, it also has a coming of age sort of vibe, too, with the entire cast, because
I'm so in.
They're sort of mid to late 20-somethings, down on their luck, living in England, trying to find themselves.
It's a British show?
Trying to find themselves, yeah.
It
goes in, but it does have great humor. It goes in a ton of different directions, from people and relationships to dealing with homosexuality, coming out of the closet sort of thing. It's a great show. I really appreciated it.
Can't wait.
All right, so let's take a break because I have to pee. I have to get the LaCroix out of my system. We'll be right back with movies because I really want to get your opinion on music topic later. All
okay.
Right? Bye. Are you a podcaster or YouTuber, or have you ever wanted to start a podcast or start a YouTube channel? Well, I've got news for you. You're going to need some music for your content. 100%. I've got you covered. TastyJamStore.com. What is Tasty Jam, you ask? Well, I have made 30 royalty-free songs, instrumental songs to use in your podcast or your YouTube content, or even if you just want to listen to them. The songs are great, I promise, because I made them, and they're only going to cost you $4.99. And for all of you YouTubers and podcasters out there, I've got you covered on theme songs as well, intro music. I've got a mini pack of theme songs that I've made specifically for you for only $2.99. Stop overpaying for royalty-free music and just don't do it. Go to TastyJamStore.com. Again, that's TastyJamStore.com and pick up your royalty-free music today. Hey, what's up?
You want to talk movies? You want to talk about this Han Solo stuff? You want to talk about this stuff with Lucasfilm?
Okay, so let me just say this.
A week later?
Let me say this. So I used to give you shit back in the day when you would tell me, well,
back when I was directing Han Solo?
When you were like, I don't want to talk about this. Everybody else is talking about it, and I don't know what else I can say to it. Hey, that's me kind of right now. Like, I don't know what else can be said about it, but I'm down to talk. So,
I've been debating doing this the past couple of days.
Yeah. I mean, we got to talk about it, or else we were going to be like, why didn't this site? Are they being paid by Lucasfilm? Well, the answer is, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no other reason to talk about Star Wars unless you're being paid by Lucasfilm. I mean, it's not that hot of a commodity, but
it is strange. This whole thing is not just strange because it's wacky as shit, this whole story, but it's strange to now. So we've been afraid, we've been apprehensive, we've been worried about Warner Brothers and DC films, right? And it's just so funny how Wonder Woman can come out and it's like the conversation has shifted. Our hopes are higher, they are lifted, and now everybody, and I get it, they're a little bit like nervous about Star Wars now. Not just because of this story, but because of, I think I saw a lot of people in the Star Wars fan community talking about being a little weirded out by the idea or the notion of that headline that came out about them saying, "Oh, we don't really have a plan for the new films. We're just kind of making it up as we go along," which I know was sort of like a headline that was supposed to grab people's attention, but people are getting a little worried about Star Wars now.
There's a couple of recent interesting tidbits
right
that we can touch on now that have come out in the past couple of days as opposed to the past week. But yeah, what we're still going to eventually arrive to in our conversation is what we would have arrived at, a few days before. The new stuff that I want to talk about is the fact that the whistleblower for all of this was Alden Ehrenreich.
Was it really?
Yes.
I was not
so you didn't know
privy
that?
to this knowledge.
That's
hilarious.
The first person who raised the concerns and told Kathleen Kennedy about this
tattletale
is Alden Ehrenreich.
Is that the most
fascinating to me?
Is that the most non-Harrison Ford thing to ever do? Would Harrison Ford ever whistleblow on somebody? I feel like if he didn't like somebody, he just wouldn't do it. Wasn't that sort of the commentary with him and JJ anyways? Like, he's like, I'm not saying that.
Well, with him in Force Awakens, I mean, I think the only reason he came back was because he was going to die. Because he didn't want to have to do 3 more movies. Like, if he's going to come back, I only want it to
Spoiler
be one
alert,
and blah, blah, blah. So, but anyway, I actually kind of like it. Because the thing that I was thinking about with all of this is how the actors are going to handle a new director. It was either that...
What do you think Donald Glover thinks about this?
It was either...
Probably doesn't care at all.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, he wants to play Lando more than anything, I think. But I think he probably is like, I could have done this better.
I mean, let me get this. Let me just get this straight, because obviously you're the movie guy. They're going to be making more money now, right? Because they're contracted to spend more time on this. Like, they're going to have to spend more time on this.
I don't know how much that has to do with money.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably preventing them from taking on other projects, but as far as I know, they haven't added time. They're just taking.
It's definitely costing Star Wars more money.
Lucasfilm
yeah.
more, but I think the actors are still as involved as they were. I don't know if they're going to extend the reshoots. Essentially, the time that they had for reshoots is essentially just going to be like
filming a new movie.
Production. Yeah. Take 2. Is essentially
the sequel. They're going to film the sequel.
It's how I understand it. And
what if they got 2 movies out of this?
No. They're going to barely have one.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be the result. They're going to barely have one movie. I don't know. They might knock it out of the park, but right now it's a mess. There's no denying it. So the thing I want to talk about with Alden Ehrenreich is that, yes, that is the new tidbit, but it's still, I'm still arriving at the point that I just think it was sort of like, it sounds like neglect. Like, I'm baffled that so many months
neglect on whose behalf?
Kathleen Kennedy's part. I just don't understand why so much time went by without her knowing what was going on set. And he was the first person to raise the concerns. Apparently, and we got this from the original story, that Kathleen Kennedy didn't like the way they even folded their socks, which is kind of, that's one thing. But this new information that's come out with the Alden Ehrenreich stuff.
Is that a metaphor? She didn't actually know how they fold their socks.
Yeah.
She does.
There's no one was questioning, is this a literal?
Okay, well, I mean,
of course that's not literal.
Just making sense.
I don't think she gives a shit about it.
I'm just making sure.
But what I'm saying is that's interesting to me. But what happened was Alden Ehrenreich raised the concerns, and then she came down to the set to see for herself, and someone was quoted as saying that it could be compared to Ace Ventura. So,
well, it was that really what somebody said? Because
yes.
I believe it was. What was funny, just to get this out of the way for those that know, I thought it was hilarious that Christian Harloff didn't actually get to talk about this until Thursday on Jedi Council.
Yeah,
but I heard somebody, I think it was him. It was like, it's not like we're going to get Ace Ventura: Pet Detective with this movie. But so somebody actually said that.
Someone did compare it to that. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's my quick take. Overall, I think the decision to remove Lord and Miller was justified. From what I've heard, I love Lord and Miller. I don't think I want that take on Han Solo.
Before all of this happened, were you more open to it?
Originally, I did.
Yeah.
I thought Lord and Miller were great choices. But the more I heard, like, hey, it's actually going to be more like this, the more I realized, wow, I don't want that.
Right.
So I am totally fine with the decision to remove Lord and Miller. I'm baffled that they let it go on as long as they did. I give Lord and Miller credit for sticking to their guns. I think there was a miscommunication. They all dropped the ball. Simply on the fact that, you have to play game with Lucasfilm if you're going to make a Star Wars movie, and they weren't about that. And they even tweeted about it afterwards. And so I get all of it, but I'm glad that we're not getting this Han Solo movie, especially if the actors, if every other actor shared the same sentiment that Alden Ehrenreich did, I'm certainly happy about that.
Of course.
So if the lead felt that way, because if it's Chris Pratt or anybody else, someone who's worked with Lord and Miller, they might have been fine with it. But when the actor is like, hold on, I don't think this is what we're supposed to be doing, that's huge for me.
For sure. And I think the interesting thing is just the idea of all of this. We're in this era of making film where you get somebody, they start out with a low budget and it's successful. I mean, essentially that's what a lot of big budget movies are doing. They're trying to find the next big thing, and you get an example like the Mario brothers. What's their name from Captain America? What are their names? The brothers,
the Russo brothers.
The Russo brothers, Scolari brothers, and that works. That works out, and they came from a completely different field, a completely different sandbox, a completely different sport to make Winter Soldier, Civil War. Now they're doing Thanos and his Golden Glove and the Infinity Wars. And look, you can't do that all the time. You're not going to be able to step up to the plate and hit a home run. The big problem, it's not that they tried it and it didn't work. The problem is they tried it and it didn't work, and they're so far into it. That is the huge issue.
I am nowhere near the position of directing a Star Wars movie, but
I can believe that.
My take, just on the outside looking in, I think directors should be smart enough that
they should be ashamed of themselves.
They should be smart enough to understand that they're lucky to get to make a Star Wars movie. And I think the proper lexicon for any director, the mentality that they need to have is that I want to put my stamp
Right.
on a Star Wars movie. That's how all of these should be approached. Like, I want to see J.J. Abrams' Star Wars movie. I think we got it. I want to see Gareth Edwards' Star Wars movie. I think we kind of got that. But for Lord and Miller to be like, my way or the highway, it's like, that's not really what I want.
Well, sometimes it pays off.
I want, but Ryan Johnson is getting that. But I think it's because there was just more understanding. Like, we get Ryan Johnson, we get this is the kind of Star Wars movie we want to make. I think it seems to be more singular in that way, and Ryan Johnson was even outspoken about it, that he pretty much had entire creative control. And I think part of that too was because there was a lot more. There just seems to be more understanding because it's a sequel to JJ's. Ryan was involved with JJ. He helped write a book with Bloodline, and it was sort of Ryan Johnson seemed to be in the cooker longer. And I mean, Lord and Miller worked for like 2 years.
Well, that's a discussion about this whole thing, and that is understanding and communication. I mean, just to play devil's advocate with it, they might have been under the assumption that Kathleen Kennedy was saying, "Do your thing,"
and I think they were, and they said that, yeah,
right, and you know that's fair. Obviously, look, we've only got 2 Star Wars films in this new era. We have a lot coming, of course, but everybody's still trying to figure this out, and it's okay. It's okay that there are missteps because there are going to be missteps. We can't all be under the guise that Star Wars is going to be completely infallible on screen and behind the screen. We just can't do that. And I think it is a little bit shocking to people. I think there are people that have said, how could they have let this happen? Now, it is super unfortunate. If something like this happens with a Rogue One, that's fine. But when you are doing it with one of the most beloved characters in the entire franchise, that's when I think people are like, shit, this sucks.
No, what's shocking about it, and Christian made this point, and I'm glad he did, on Jedi Council, the shocking part of it is that this isn't like, oh no, like this can't happen to Star Wars. This never happens at all.
Right, that's fair.
At all.
Right.
Like, the closest thing recently might have been Zack Snyder, but again, even that was completely different, having a director take over. Oh my, I mean, it's the same, but almost completely different. So,
well, typically when you have things like this, big events like this happen with films, it's, again, like I've already said, you're not 2/3 of the way. Right. You're not approaching the finish line. You know, we've heard stuff, you know, the Batman, problems with the Batman. We know about it. Problems with the Flash movie. I mean, directors dropping out left and right, completely scrapping screenplays.
And so essentially all of those stories, the things that happen with those movies, that actually is like way more common.
Exactly.
The conversation's just heightened because of the scale of the story and the franchise. So like, I know we get excited, we get worried about the Batman, but it's because it's the Batman. But on paper, that type of Hollywood story happens all the time, and we hear all about movies that are in production hell for 10 years, something like World War Z. I mean, it's a lot more common when you talking about things like that. They're just heightened.
Well, let's talk about the film that we're actually going to get now, directed by Ron Howard. I mean, what are you looking for now? Because we could have talked even before this news came out about the film that we wanted and that we were anticipating, what we thought we were going to get from Lord and Miller. Now we're getting this other project. What do you want from this?
It's not the most exciting thing, I think.
Right.
I think it's probably the smartest decision.
Yeah.
But it's not exciting to me because I've never really been like, the words like I'm a Ron Howard fan have never come out of my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy him. I love him in Arrested Development.
He's fine.
I grew up watching Happy Days. I've seen a few of his films. I liked Rush. But
Monday,
it's like,
Friday, Happy Days?
Yeah. But none of his movies have spoke out to me recently. I mean, I don't care at all about the Da Vinci Code movies. I mean, his senior year, I saw Star Trek by J.J. Abrams over that for a reason. I agree with the decision, but I'm not excited about the decision.
When's the last time he's worked with like a cast of younger, up and coming, fiery talent like this?
I don't know. I'm gonna look up his. Well, I mean, you could talk about Daniel Brohl and Chris Hemsworth and Rush if you wanted to, I guess. But it wasn't like an ensemble, really. Here, I'll look up Ron Howard real quick because I need to remember some of his more recent movies. But look, I said it. I'm fine with the decision, but I'm not excited about the decision.
So I think the fascinating thing with me is a Star Wars movie coming out, getting excited about it, the build up, the discussion is great. It's fun. And it's always fascinating to see what the reaction is going to be like because of the temperature of the property itself and how excited we are. Like we ride the trains, right? We ride the train of success and everything's good and cozy when Force Awakens comes out and it works, when Rogue One comes out and it works. Now, they're not without their flaws, of course, but when the temperature and the discussion in the room it gets a little bit grimy when this movie comes out, when trailers come out and the discussion, I mean, we already have this story casting a big shadow over it. Like, I am fascinated by what the discussion is going to be when they start running promotional material. Like, are we going to be having discussions of like, man, I don't know, I'm worried. I'm focusing a little bit more. Like, do you think we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the apprehension of this film just because of all of this shit that's coming out of it?
More people are. I've seen more people react and saying to just cancel a movie.
Right.
I mean, fans are kind of like done with it already because so many people were apprehensive, and I wasn't apprehensive. I mean, I feel like it makes sense. I might not.
Well, what's at stake here? I mean, you have the ability to taint. Look, if Rogue One was and I'm not huge on Rogue One. I mean, I think it's fine, but it wasn't bad. It didn't trash anything. But when you're playing with the cards that you're playing with, I mean, this is a big deal. It's not like, what are they just going to reboot?
Again,
are they going to reboot Han Solo if this doesn't work? This isn't fucking Spider-Man.
Again, I think that goes back to the whole point that it blows my mind that Kathleen Kennedy wasn't around more.
It's a big fucking deal.
Like, almost like she should be on set every week.
It's a huge deal. Now that I'm thinking about it and saying this isn't bad. You can't just cast Val Kilmer to save your Michael Keaton problem with this. Like, you can't just change everything.
Yeah.
It's canon now. If this movie is shit, it's canon.
Yeah.
We've dealt with that. We've dealt with 3 shitty movies. I don't want to go on thinking Han Solo is a jackass.
It's crazy.
Figure it out.
It's crazy. I mean, this might be this year's The Batman.
Do you think that people were maybe just a little too relaxed, like feeling everybody's patting themselves on the back?
I think as long as the actors are into it, I think if the actors respond well to Ron Howard, because I don't think Ron Howard's directed anything like this.
Right.
From what I can imagine with this movie, I don't think he's directed anything like this.
He's gonna have Alden Ehrenreich and Childish Gambino walking by a lake with their. Well, I wanted to give it more of an Andy Griffith feel.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we run into. I don't know how much. Again, I don't know what's new about this conversation, but it's
good.
You think it's a good thing?
I think it's good because I think the Star Wars community needs a little bit of a, not just the community, but also just in general, they need a little bit of pressure. Like, they're talking about like, oh, we're probably going to be taking a break from, we're going to focus on TV. Motherfucker, if this movie sucks, the best way to get rid of a bad taste out of your mouth is to put out better movies quick. Like, DC, I feel great about DC now. Wonder Woman was dope. I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, it's true.
I agree Wonder Woman was dope, but
and yes, we all know that BVS was BVS. I didn't see Suicide Squad. I know how we feel about it.
God,
but
movie's horrible.
But aren't you looking forward now more to DC stuff?
Oh, I'm still, especially with everything that's everyone's talking about with Matt Reeves and Apes. I mean, my God, fuck yeah, I'm excited.
What
for the
have
Batman.
you done for me lately?
I like the fact that I don't know how much it affects Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, I know they have their ear to the ground, as Jay Williams would say, but I think it's
Probably gonna have to put that on a t-shirt.
I think it's interesting that like now Lucasfilm knows that we're holding them fucking accountable.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
people want this movie to not be made.
Yeah, this isn't Josh Trank. Okay? This isn't somebody else
Oh man.
edited, or this isn't somebody else finished Rogue One. I mean, this is a huge deal. But look, I'm excited just to follow along with all of this.
Here's what I'll say about Lord and Miller. Go give us your Flash movie. That's what I want. I would love to. By the way, I think people are forgetting Lord and Miller are directing this animated Spider-Man movie that comes out.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I think everyone's forgotten. Even like when I was watching Collider, not a single person mentioned on Collider that we still like. They mentioned the movie, but they didn't make the connection that that's a Lord and Miller movie.
Yeah.
So,
got Gambino directing the Deadpool show
under Disney's direction, right?
Yeah.
Or is that Sony? Maybe it's technically
Sony. Yeah.
I guess that's part of the Sony thing. But regardless,
I thought it was funny. I don't remember who. I guess it might have been Ken that said, "What's her name?" I'm forgetting people's names. It directed Wonder Woman.
Oh, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, he had made the statement like, "Oh, Lord and Miller are gone. Better get Patty Jenkins on the phone." Like, I mean, I actually do think it's kind of funny that now I'm not throwing any shade on Ron Howard, but
Oh wait, I fucked that up. Who's directing the Spider-Man movie?
oh gosh, here we go.
I
Have
messed
to edit
up.
this out. Hashtag transparency. No, look, I do think it's funny that I'm sure so many big, huge directors were probably like, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. There's no way in hell. I mean, what's his name? Kasdan. They talked to
Lawrence Kasdan.
Lawrence Kasdan. They talked about him potentially directing this thing, but because of I guess some, I don't know, union things, he couldn't legally do it. But a lot of people are saying that he might be ghost directing this thing past the finish line.
Well, I guarantee he definitely is now. I mean, that was probably part of it. Like, keep Kasdan involved.
I mean, how much stuff do you think we actually got done under Lord and Miller's direction with this thing that's going to be usable? I mean, is it B-roll footage? Like, is it like opening credit sequence? Like,
Well,
what?
someone made the point that again, there's so much. Lord and Miller probably wrote the animated Spider. Yeah, written. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Lord and Miller wrote the animated Spider-Man
Christian's
movie.
like, yeah, back the fuck up.
But yeah, my bad.
We get paid for this shit.
But what was the question? Oh, how much? I mean, again, like they made the point that like so much of it is probably green screen, so a lot of that's going to be used.
Right.
I think they just have to. It's a lot of specific shots,
Principal photography type of.
I don't
things.
know.
I
So
don't even know what that means. I was just trying
who
to sound.
knows? It's probably like I would say maybe. I'm hoping. I guess it depends on how extreme it is, but I'm hoping it's like maybe we have to just do 60%.
Yeah, it's still a lot.
I know it is a lot, but I wasn't comfortable saying 50-50.
Yeah, let's get Michael Bay on it. Never go full Bay. All right, so you got anything else before we wrap it up?
No.
Get into music. All right, listen, we're going to take another break. I have to pee again. And we are going to get, Ryan Snelling, we're about to get into the segment of Sight and Sound that I've never been more scared of in my entire life. Are you ready?
I guess.
All right, let's take a break. We'll talk music and Jay-Z when we come back.
It is hot outside. It's summertime. You're going to the beach. You're going to the lake. You're going on hikes. Whatever you're doing. Maybe it's too hot to go outside. I have no idea. But I'll tell you what. It's so hot that you've got those nasty, gross pit stains and all those old T-shirts. So we've got you covered. Go to sightsoundpod.com. Pick up your Sight and Sound gear. We've got a summer line coming out with some incredible designs. I am biased because I designed them. But that's okay. They do look good, I promise you. There's a lot of great stuff over there. We're always releasing new T-shirts. We have a new limited design that will only be available for the month of July, and we've got a new limited design coming every single month. But go to sightsoundpod.com and pick up your t-shirts. You're going to feel good about yourself because not only are you supporting the podcast, not only are you doing your part to help make the podcast better, you're going to look fantastic while supporting the show. Sightsoundpod.com. Pick up your t-shirts today. Before we get started on music, well, I guess we're...
Does anybody want to get out?
I
Winter
guess-
Soldier, Captain America.
I guess we're just gonna talk about music in general. New Drake song.
Haven't listened to it.
Took off work specifically for it.
I was already off work.
I know. It's a good song. I enjoy it. I think everybody should check it out.
Best song on More Life? Over More Life? Excuse me. Is it better than anything
What?
on More Life?
What was that question? Look, here's what I'll say about it. It's so Views was hard to digest just because, first of all, the sequencing on it was absolute trash. Like, it just wasn't. I hate listening to that album from front to back. Like, I've never skipped more songs on a Drake album in my life. And it was also the first time we had heard this sort of like island vibe, Drake talking about tings and the whole dance hall thing.
Tings, yeah.
And that was sort of wacky too. We either used to get rapping Drake or
Moody.
singing slow jam Drake, and now we had this whole other thing to juggle too. And the good thing about More Life is I think he had sort of refined that a little bit. He had sort of, practiced it more, and he became a better songwriter, so it was easier, like I said, to digest. This song, it's not a rapping Drake song. It is not a slow jam song. It is a dancehall sort of song, but it was just refreshing because some of the sounds of it sounded more like older Drake, like some of the more dreary and dark, wet blanket sort of beats on it. And I appreciated it. I really, really enjoyed the song.
I'm glad. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, not his most catchy song, but it's a mood song.
Will I like it?
It's a mood song. It's one of the best put in the background songs.
Will I like it?
I think you'd enjoy it.
Okay, good.
I think you would. It's actually on Spotify now. A lot of people annoyed that...
Summer 16?
A lot of people were annoyed by the fact that he promoted it, and the only place you could watch it was on Louis Vuitton's website. While they played it for the first time ever during a fashion show while people were walking around showing off Louis Vuitton clothing.
Yeah.
And that was the only place you could hear it for like 2 days. Now it's available everywhere.
Stupid.
Speaking of exclusivity, I tease this. That whole vibe that we were just talking about in the Star Wars stuff with Han Solo, a lot of that is going to get carried over for this discussion.
Okay.
I've never been more scared or apprehensive to talk about a music segment in my life because, look, a lot of people know about us for the first time in a long time. A lot of people,
Say that again.
a lot of people that
Yeah.
listen to Sight and Sound, know about us right now than they have in the past. Like, they didn't follow us on Film Beat. They didn't follow me on In the Galaxy.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of you guys might not know a lot of our feelings on things, and that's all well and good. But we have a community that communicates with us a lot. They talk to us. They let us know how they feel about things, and that's fine. There's some news broke about a week ago, I think, and actually I think it broke like on Sunday night or maybe even Monday. So it's been a little bit, and we're just now getting it to talk about it. But there's a new Jay-Z album coming out called 444. Comes out on the 30th of this month, which is next week, I believe. And yeah, I mean, Jay-Z, one of the greatest rappers of all time.
Yes.
Hands down, just across the board, one of the most successful rappers of all time. I mean, he is a mogul at this point, obviously married to Beyonce. They have, I guess, 3 kids now together. And I like Jay-Z. I respect the hell out of Jay-Z. I have had a very, very outspoken opinion about not being a fan of Jay-Z for probably the last 5 years. Really, really down on him for a bunch of reasons, but I'll get into that in a minute. Why you've liked rap for a long time. I mean, just as a casual fan. What do you think about Jay-Z?
I like Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Trying to think of when I first heard of him. It was in the
What? Is that the first time?
That was before that. Well, how old's that song?
That's pretty old.
Maybe it wasn't.
Rush Hour soundtrack?
I had heard of
Big Pimp. Okay.
I had all of the songs that are, or not all of them. The Dirt Off Your Shoulder, 99 Problems.
Yeah.
I heard all of those songs prior to learning them from Linkin Park's Collision Course.
Yeah, I was about to say those are
So,
later.
I
Those are
know-
later songs.
I know of those songs. I was probably most aware of Jay-Z when that came out.
Right.
Um,
Some crossover appeal.
sort of in the late 90s, yeah. So that's when I first started listening to Jay-Z, and as time went on, I grew to like Jay-Z quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what that one album was called. I can't think of what it is right now.
So you have many versions of the Blueprint. You have the Black Album.
The Blueprint 3 is probably the first album that I heard. And then Black Album. But overall, I have consistently been a fan of Jay-Z and been listening to him. I remember the day that I got Magna Carta Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah?
What'd
What'd you think about that album?
Because I had I didn't listen to it that much, to be honest. That's not even what is the album called? Because I always call it Magna Carta Holy Grail.
That's what it's called. Magna Carta Holy Grail. The song, the single is called Holy Grail, but that is what the album is called.
Yeah, but I always wanted to call it something different. I always thought it was making a joke about Monty Python Holy Grail. Anyway, are you sure that's what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah. You got some issues?
Maybe the joke was I called it Monty Python Holy Grail.
Okay.
Anyway, there was some kind of joke that I had, and I've just confused myself, and I'm an idiot. But regardless, overall, I've liked Jay-Z. Okay,
one of the most fascinating things about Jay-Z is not just the fact that he is such a good rapper. He is, I mean, an incredible lyricist, incredible flow. He is a hip hop artist that has sort of traversed many different, eras of hip hop, of different changing trends. I mean, this is a guy who found a lot of success in the early portions of his career in the 90s. I mean, the very beginning of his career was a huge and successful time for him. Now, a lot of hip hop artists, they kind of come and go with trends. They kind of come and go over stretches of time. I mean, when's the last time you heard from Lil Jon? When's the last time you heard from the Hot Boys or Master P even? Or Ludacris? I mean, he had to give up rapping. Or Nelly. I mean, Nelly's making country songs now. It just, successful rappers, it's difficult for them to sort of adapt to new and up-and-coming trends. The thing that changed Jay-Z's career, so to speak, that sort of jump-started it, gave him a second wind, was Kanye West. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't realize this who are more casual fans. Kanye West was almost directly related to this next elevated point in Jay-Z's career, completely came into the game. For those that don't know, Kanye West broke out as a producer. Kanye West, not the greatest rapper, incredible producer, incredible. I mean, game changer, and infused so much of his interesting ideas. The sampling game, like you hear a lot of samples in songs, he completely changed the game with those sort of soul samples in songs, those pitched up vocals and samples. It really changed things. And I mean, he caught this new wave of interest from younger people just by doing that. That kind of hit a wall, though. You know about this album with Kanye West and Jay-Z, right?
Watch the Throne?
That's right.
Yeah.
What do you think about that album?
I enjoyed it. I remember
It's fantastic.
I remember actually getting it on iTunes.
It's one, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums of all time, period.
Really?
100%.
Wow, that's awesome. I haven't listened to it I haven't listened to it since it came out.
There's a
But
lot.
I enjoyed it.
There are a lot of albums where two hip hop artists come together and they sort of make, and that's fine. It's nice. It's it's fun. It's all good. But some of them come and go, and they are what they are. Very few of them are fucking flawless from front to back. And
I mean, these are two guys at the peak of not just rap and hip hop, but music and pop culture in general, coming together and talking about how fucking great they are. And that is awesome. Unfortunately, something happened on that album that, in my opinion, should have never happened. Kanye West out-rapped Jay-Z on that album. Not only did he out-rap him, I think Jay-Z sort of phoned in some of his verses on that thing. That was issue number 1.
Okay.
Should have never happened. Issue number 2, Magna Carta Holy Grail. I think that album is really, really, really bad. I think that album is borderline poo-poo. The first album to not feature 1 ounce of Kanye West on it.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Not talking about feature, production.
Yeah.
Just not there. I had a huge problem with that album. I think the song Holy Grail is a really good song, but I have a huge problem with that album because this is Jay-Z rapping. And we have a lot of rappers and artists that like to flaunt. They're very braggadocious and stuff like that. But this is a whole album filled with him buying unattainable paintings. I mean, this is like another level. This is like not millionaires rapping. We're talking billionaires rapping.
Yeah.
Talking about buying paintings, wanting to bring back the Concorde jet, Tom Ford, just like things that are completely unrelatable. Like the relatability of the things that he was talking about on that album, it just wasn't there.
Right.
I mean,
can see that.
I don't want to hear it, like, and it's okay to talk about those things when you put them into contrast of like how hard it was growing up or you know, selling drugs or the fame. Kanye West, when he raps about his issues, he's talking about fame and fortune, but he's also talking about having anxiety issues dealing with it. He can't fucking go out with his family. Like those are things that I can't relate to, but it's interesting to me. I don't give a shit that you're going out figuring out which $1 million painting you're wanting to buy.
Yeah.
It just gets old. And Jay-Z sounded kind of like an old curmudgeon on that album. He had a lyric that's talking about fuck hashtags and retweets on Twitter. And it's like, you sound old.
Yeah.
Shut up. I don't care about this. It got even worse. It got even fucking worse when he decided that he was going to launch a music streaming service.
Yeah.
And compete with Spotify and Apple. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's
Why?
bullshit.
Why would you do this? If he came into it having the idea and the plan that I'm going to be the company that actually cares about artists. I'm going to be the company that actually, you know, gives good royalty rates. He didn't do any of that. There's
Right.
nothing new about Tidal. In fact, you're making it fucking worse. Album exclusivity annoys the shit out of me.
It's bullshit.
And to come into the game and provide another outlet with that, do you know you still cannot stream Beyonce's incredible album Lemonade on anywhere but Tidal? Who the fuck has Tidal? Stop. It's stupid. It's stupid. And that annoys me.
We just, at the beginning of the conversation, we talked about, or we didn't talk about it, but I thought it was stupid that the Drake song was only on that Louis Vuitton website. Okay, it was only for 2 days.
Right.
But, I mean, that irritates me. When you come out with a separate streaming service that you're going to ask other people to buy that's more expensive with less music on it,
right?
Fuck that.
And then, I mean, and their business model is quite clear. I mean, they pretty much launched this whole thing with the Life of Pablo. Not really. I mean, it existed, but the big push for it was like the Life of Pablo is exclusively on Tidal for a period of time. People got their free trials, but like there were so many shitty technical issues. Like, for example, there was a buy button on there and people bought the album. Life of Pablo is not for sale. It's never been for sale. Tons of people bought that album, didn't get shit, and it took them forever to refund their money.
Really?
Oh yeah. That Life of Pablo, you can't buy it. Like, you can probably buy it on vinyl and somebody just ripped it off of a computer and, you know, black marketed, put it online. But just stupid shit like that. And it's just annoying. Then you throw in the whole fact that he allegedly maybe
cheated on Beyonce and she made one of the greatest albums of all time, on the back of that. So when news comes out that he's putting out a new album, Jay-Z's a great rapper. He's one of the greatest of all time. But just like we were talking about with DC and the bad taste
He's
in my
annoying
mouth,
the shit out of you.
oh my God, dude, he's frustrating. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to give this album a chance, just like I've given everything a chance. But just going into it, I have a really just dog turd taste in my mouth with him. I don't give a shit that you own the Nets or whatever they're called.
I don't think anyone gives a shit that he owns the
Yeah.
Nets. No one cares about the Nets.
Yeah. You're just making things harder.
People care less about the Nets than they do the Knicks, and the Knicks aren't doing anything either.
Well, it even makes okay, here's the other thing too. You may never listen to this album.
Because it's on Tidal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He's having listening parties in Sprint stores across the country.
Who has Sprint?
I do. I have Sprint. Sprint's great. Shout out to Sprint. And look, I was apprehensive about having this discussion because people hold, like they do with Star Wars and other things, they hold Jay-Z very close to their chest, and rightfully so.
I think we're going to be surprised. I don't think our listeners are going to have a problem at all with what you're saying about Jay-Z.
Right. And you're probably 100% right.
Because I don't. I agree with your position on the streaming service and all
Right.
that. I agree that he is not all-time great, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't agree that he is on fire right now.
No.
By any means.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing, too. Done a ton of, not a ton, he's done some feature work. He was on a Frank Ocean song. I'll play it for you when we get off the air. It's trash.
Let's go all the way back to what I was talking about before, where I had Magna Carta on my phone because it was exclusive to or given for free to Samsung
That's right. That's exactly
phones
right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that was the starting line of where I would have seen this pattern of just like really frustrating things. I was able to take advantage of it because I had the Samsung phone, but for all of those other people, I mean...
Well, Tidal wasn't out then, but
I
still...
know. No, I'm saying in general, just the pattern of making those type of decisions that would annoy me.
Well, he also doesn't... I mean, the funny thing about him, too, and that I think is interesting, is that, and it might be just because of his level of success... I mean, people like Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're on like a whole other stratosphere of pop culture. I mean... just massive. And he doesn't run in the same circles as other people. It's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of like, so we're in this podcasting thing. Imagine if, I don't know, somebody huge and successful was like, hey guys, get out of the way. I'm gonna start a movie and TV podcast. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're jumping in the game when, I don't know, things have just changed. I'm anxious to see what happens. Like, did you know Dr. Dre put out an album last year?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, have you heard any? Yeah,
No.
I haven't heard anything on it. I mean, he's got to do some. You can't just be Jay-Z. Like you.
Did Dre put out the album next to Straight Outta Compton?
He did.
Okay, I do remember that, but I didn't hear it.
And I mean, I think it was even an Apple Music exclusive too. Again, with all that stuff. So it's just fascinating to me, and I just hope that when this album comes out, that it's not just, hey, I'm still trying to be relevant. And you're right. A lot of people, they're not privy to the same stuff. They don't follow the same shit. But that's why we have this podcast. That's why we do this section. Like, yeah, they're critically, a lot of people who are deep in this music stuff, I'm not the only person saying this. Like, it's not, my mom doesn't give a shit that Lord and Miller bounced from the Han Solo movie.
Right.
She probably didn't even know Han Solo movie's coming out, in fairness to her. But that is the story behind it. I don't like it. I probably am going to have to subscribe to Tidal. Just like you were going to every single movie that, not every single movie, but you were going once a week to do
for Film Beat.
I'm still on that game. I figured out the other day that I accidentally was still subscribed to Apple Music. That's how I watched Planet of the Apps the other day.
Oh, right.
But I don't know. Maybe you can come over and we can listen to it together so that we can kill two birds with one stone. I never don't support music piracy anymore. But I could totally understand why somebody would want to do that.
Right.
For an album like this.
I'm not excited.
I don't think you should be.
I'm really not.
I don't think anybody should be.
Like I mean, I'm not gonna say that when the single comes out that I won't enjoy it, but I mean, now that you're talking about it, I mean, the only thing that I really remember about Magna Carta was the JT song.
Yeah.
So you have great points. I mean, I'm not saying this like, again, you didn't change my life because I wasn't like this diehard Jay-Z fan, but I pretty much,
And you shouldn't be, because I don't think he's that great either.
well, you sprinkled throughout that you still
I'm
thought
joking.
that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
At one time,
he
he could have been Donald Glover.
I have agreed with a lot of what you said so far, but I agree. It's kind of like it almost just kind of feels like he's sticking around, even though there's not really room for him anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
That's sort of my take on it.
It's like Grandpa still trying to play basketball with
Yeah.
you, and it's like you just dunking over him, just with nuts on your face.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's fitting in with everything that we've progressed through.
Let's talk,
especially with music.
Let's talk about this. Things that could elevate this. I highly, highly doubt that Kanye has anything on this album. If he showed up on this, oh my God, I would be so hyped. Oh, that's another thing that he phoned in. You know, they did that song Pop Style by Drake. It's featured The Throne, Kanye West, and one sentence from Drake. I'm sorry, one sentence from Jay-Z.
Yeah. You
serious? Anyways, if Kanye West was on this album, I would be excited. I would hope to see him. Look, for instance, he has been working with Timbaland forever. I think Timbaland is great. I think he's a great producer. But like, let's reinvent Jay-Z again. Let's breathe new life into him. I want to see Noah 40 Shabib, who is Drake's producer. I want to see Kendrick Lamar on this album. I want to see, even though not the greatest, Travis Scott, Future. I want to see Chance the Rapper on this album, man. Like, let's bring some new ideas. Rap now is at a place where if you are not pushing the boundaries, if you are not bringing something new to the table, at least production-wise, then you better fucking forget about it.
You know who I want on this album?
Who?
Eminem.
Eminem, really? Oh, God. That's another. Eminem, incredibly gifted, very technically gifted. Another person who hasn't really played well with others in the relevant space. Like,
right.
But, you know, we've seen Jay-Z on some Drake stuff. I think Drake and Jay-Z might have some sort of beef. I don't know. Would love to see Frank Ocean on this album. The Weeknd. Fuck it. But bring something new to it. Bring me to your album. Don't just have it exist and expect me to, like, give me a reason to subscribe to Tidal. If I see Kanye West on this thing, take my money. Take it. What would you do if you opened it up and it was like Jay-Z 444 song featuring Ollie Sykes from Bring Me the Horizon?
I'd be all about it.
Right?
I would be so curious.
Right?
I thought you were going to say Donald Glover.
Oh, that would be dope too, yeah.
But I highly doubt that would happen. There's probably no chance of that happening, actually.
Probably not. All right, look, I don't have anything else.
What the hell is this bite going to be called?
Bite?
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 Jay rants about Jay-Z.
Jay-Z 444 album preview. And all these people on YouTube just thumbing down. I want this to be the new Highly Suspect video on YouTube. Who's going doesn't know what he's talking about? You know what I felt good about this whole thing?
What?
A guy I know who I've had on in the Galaxy before. His name's Jates, John Duckett. He's a producer out of Baltimore. Crazy hip hop head. Loves hip hop, studies production, hustles and grinds. I love this dude. Shout out to Jates. We shared the same opinion one time on this, and I didn't say a word about it. He just was, and I have this fist pumping like, yes,
yeah,
validation. It just felt good. So yeah, I'm gonna piss people off. That's fine. That's why we have this podcast.
What do you think RB3 is gonna say?
I don't know. I'm anxious to see what he would say. Look, I've already said it. Jay-Z's great. He is great. Just lately, what have you done for me lately? All right,
fair enough.
All right, that's how I feel. I love you guys. We'll see you later. No, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WhatUpSnell. I just recorded my third movie bucket list episode with Miss Movies, so we have that coming down the pipeline very soon. I need to get more people before I plan that release, but it's coming. I'm also working on another thing, and maybe we'll get to that soon. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting and exciting stuff that may or may not be happening to us, but we are continuing to work. We are continuing to hustle, and yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just put up a vlog. I went to watch my friend do some Pokemon Go stuff, so you can check that out on the channel. The link is down below. Subscribe for vlogs. For our new bites. I think people are still confused about bites. They're just sections of this very podcast that are separated out. And of course, our TV, music, and movie reactions and stuff on our YouTube channel. Check it out. Jay Williams.
Yeah, at Sight Sound Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We're being very active on social media. It is our goal to not just make social media a place like a billboard for whatever content we put out. I mean, it can be that, but I think our goal ultimately is to make those as outlets and avenues for specific types of content, whether it be song of the day on Sight and Sound or whatever Twitter is going to be and whatever Facebook is going to be. But go ahead and check us out on all those places. That'd be fantastic. You can find me at Jay Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same for both. TastyJamStore.com if you are a podcaster, a YouTube creator, or you just want some good music, go over there. $4.99 for 30 royalty-free songs. Great for whatever you want. SightSoundPod.com for t-shirts. Support the show. Look good doing it. You got anything else?
Nope.
Let's get out of here. Let's go back to work. Goodbye.